Hi everybody, I'm Ukulele Jay, and we're back with another knife sharpening with the Tumbler Knife Sharpening System. I have a lot of knives, from Japanese knives to high-end German knives down to what I consider, they're not really cheap, but they're not, to me, super high-end, as the Cutco knives. Now, I will say, I started out with Cutco about 10 years ago. They held up over time, but when they get dull, sharpening them is the challenge a lot of people have, and so you have to actually send the knife, it's free, back to the headquarters on the East Coast. And a lot of people say, that's great, it's free, but it really isn't, because you have to pay shipping. And if you know the shipping prices these days, it's outrageous. I suggest you sharpen all your knives at home, save yourself the money. So today I have these knives, and we're going to go ahead and show you how sharp they are now by doing some cutting demonstrations. Then we're going to sharpen them up with the tumbler. This is the Tumbler Knife Sharpener right here. It's got a diamond coating on this end that we're going to sharpen the knife with, and then we have a steel end that's going to go on this after we're done sharpening to take off any burring and to hone the knife. This is the magnetic block, holds the knife at either 15 degrees or 20 degrees. These are all 20-degree knives. So we're going to test the sharpness of these knives, and I've got a utility knife, paring knife, and a kiri, and I have a chef's knife. I haven't used them in a long time, so honestly I'm not sure how sharp they are. So let's see how they do. Well, not too well apparently. Okay, this isn't going to cut it at all, so that's a good candidate. Let's see about this one. It's still horrible. Okay, so this one is definitely sharper, but have to use some effort. You can see it's kind of rough. Edges aren't perfectly smooth, especially down in here. This probably isn't a great one to do because you already can see it's, it cuts, so it probably won't take some work, but I want the ones that are going to take some work to show you. And of course the chef's knife, let's see how this does. Horrendous. Go up here. Nope. Try the back. Nope. Okay, this is horrible as well. So 3 good candidates. So we're going to take this utility knife and we're going to go ahead and sharpen this at the 20 degrees. This is so bad, I'm going to give it probably a good 4 minutes on each side to do it. And we'll get started, and here we go. Now, one of the things about the Tumbler Knife Sharpening System that I like is that when one side is done, we're not quite there yet, you're going to turn it around, you're going to go ahead and it's a deburr for one side, or I guess a honing side to hone the knife, and you can actually start to feel it get smoother and the sound changes. So what I've started to do is just listen for the sound. That's kind of been my guidance. Also the feel, and if you want to flip it over to the other side, you just flip it over like this, and you're ready to go on the other side. So on this one, I don't quite have a burr yet, and I want to get that burr to get it really sharp, so we're going to keep on going until we get that burr. So it's been about 5 minutes on this one side, and we just got the burr. This thing was super dull, and my other sharpened knives that are pretty sharp all the time, within 2 minutes I had a burr. So it took a long, long time. It looked like it was just kind of taking metal off. The steel on this thing obviously is definitely not anywhere near the quality of German or Japanese steel or Damascus plated steel. It's just whatever they use. It does seem to just kind of take the metal off and doesn't really develop that nice burr, which tells me it's probably not really a great quality metal on that knife. But needless to say, we got a little one, and we're going to flip it over and we're going to start the next side. Again, we're going to hone that, and you can hear really smooth there, and as you keep going over it, there's no change in the sound. That's what I'm looking for. So now I'm ready to turn it over, but there's going to be a bunch of dirt on here, and so usually I would wash it off, but I'm just going to take it off with my fingers, and we're going to go ahead and turn it around and start the next 5 minutes on this side. Okay, I'm going to be totally honest here. If you have a knife that's super, super dull, I mean, this thing had little divots in it. I mean, it was horrible. Probably should have known. This probably is not the best thing to start with. It works great, but let me tell you, this is 2000 grit. So the higher the number, the finer the grit. You don't want to sharpen a super, super dull knife. I mean, ultra dull. It really needs to go on a belt or, a much coarser abrasive. If they had like a 400 grit, I would start with a 400 on this knife, then take it up to 800. You only need to do maybe 3 minutes for that, and then take it up to maybe, 1000, and then go to the 2000. This I started at 2000, and I'm tired. I've been doing this for probably almost 10 minutes each side, and I haven't tested it yet, but when I feel the burr, which is barely slight, I know it's just not getting there, but it's starting to. So we're going to finish up. I'm going to use the strop, hit the leather, show you what that is, and then we'll do the paper test and see at least if we got it to a point where it can cut any part of the paper, because before it wouldn't cut at all. And this blade is in such poor shape, I won't be surprised if it still doesn't cut or cut very well, but that's because I've been doing this with a 2000 grit side. I should have started with something that wasn't as bad, but I wanted to put it to the test and see if I can get it anywhere sharp, at least usable in the kitchen. Okay, so I think we're just about done. I'm going to go ahead and hone this side right here, finish off the honing, and then we're going to go ahead and wash it off real quick, which is what I typically do. Let me go do that. The knife's all washed off. We're going to go ahead and get our leather strop, and this is going to go ahead and just polish that edge. These knives were so bad in using a 2000 grit. I mean, it took me forever. I think we're almost there. I haven't done the paper test yet, but we're going to go ahead and hit this leather strop, which is going to actually take everything off the edges, any little fine burrs or anything that's on there. And this is a extra accessory that they sell, which is nice. But you can pick up any leather strop on Amazon. I'm going to put one on my Amazon store, so you can check that out as well. They're really inexpensive, like 10, 12 bucks. When I looked at this before with the light reflecting, I could see a lot of unevenness, not a pure shine on that edge, which I'm actually seeing now. I still think down here it could be a little bit better. This was really bad. And with a 2000 grit, it's not going to get there. But we're going to give it a try. Here we go, the big paper test. I don't expect this to go like butter. It should cut and actually get through the paper, so let's see. Okay, we got it through. Let's see. So we got it to go through. It's still not perfectly smooth. Well, it actually does cut it. Before, when I tried to do it, it just munched the papers. As you can see, this is 2000 grit. I mean, I would have started at 400 on this thing for sure, gone to 800 and then 1000 and then taken it up to 2000. The fact I can take this 2000 grit with a horrible knife and get it to where, I mean, right now this is usable. If I needed something in the kitchen to cut, I could cut it. Is it as sharp as my other knives? Absolutely not. But that really isn't a fault of the tumbler. That's a fault of the fact that the knife was horrible and the tumbler only comes right now with a 2000 grit. So what are my final thoughts on sharpening a Cutco knife that's really dull with a tumbler? Number one, it does work. Number two, you start with a very, very dull knife that has a little bit of nicks and really requires a 400 or an 800 grit or a much coarser stone than the 2000 grit that comes on the tumbler, which is the diamond plated end. Then you're going to have to be working for it for a long time. It took me almost 20 minutes to get that knife where it would cut through paper. Now that is not a problem with the tumbler. That is a problem with not having the various coarsenesses or fine ends of the tumbler at either a lower grit like a 400 or an 800 or a knife that will take a 2000 grit stone. Now, nobody starts with a 2000 grit usually on a knife that is so dull that has little nicks in it that you're going to get it sharp at all. I was pretty amazed that after 20 minutes, I could get it where it cut through paper. Now, it wasn't buttery smooth, but it did cut through, and I could use that knife to do some cooking in the kitchen if I needed to right now. So, number three, the tumbler system is really easy to use and it's been consistent. I've sharpened 8 knives already with it. They've all been fairly sharp, but not razor sharp, and I've gotten them to where they were razor sharp. Number four, I wish the tumbler would have videos online on social media when they're showing this thing that you don't wonder how long it takes. Do you have to go fast? Do you have to get slow? So I'm gonna give you some tips on using it that'll help out. Some people said you should just go in one direction, and I really found that wasn't the case. One direction just makes it go a lot slower. I have not had any issue sharpening my knives in 2 directions, especially one of my really nice German knives. It doesn't scratch the knife. It only hits the edge because of that 15-degree angle or 20-degree angle on that block that's being held steady. So it's just getting that edge. And if you want to test it, you can use a magic marker and put it across the top, and you'll see it taking it off. Number 5, definitely get the leather strop no matter what you do in sharpening. It really makes a nice polished edge at the end, gets off any little remaining burrs that might be on there, which I really didn't see any or feel any once I used the other side of the tumbler, which was the honing side, and then used the leather strop. And finally, it's super easy to clean. They finally showed how to clean it because I was wondering if you needed water, that would hurt it. And they showed you just using a simple eraser, like a school eraser. Remember those little square erasers, kind of, like a flesh tone color, and rubbing it over to clean it. Now I have taken a damp paper towel and rubbed it across there and got it pretty clean and dried it off, had no problem. So you can probably do it either way, but it was really easy to clean. The other thing is that it's really nice to store and take on the road. I'll definitely be taking my tumbler with me, but right now, unfortunately, I do have to take my other sharpener that is a coarser stone, and I still love my whetstones, which I won't abandon because those go to 4 and 8,000 grit. So for my Japanese knives, those are absolutely what I use to get those sharp. But I think there's a lot of promise for the tumbler. I think in the future, they have a lot of potential to add other ends on that. Maybe a 4,000 and an 8,000 and go to a 4 and 800 or a 1,000 so you can buy a whole array to use. I think that's going to be the cat's meow. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like this video. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I have a lot more coming for you. So please keep on watching and smoke on, baby.